I'm MarQ Manner from Homer's Music, and once again we're going to talk about some of the new releases that are coming out tomorrow. New release music always comes out on Fridays, so we have some records here that are going to come out tomorrow, including, we're going to start with this one just because it's blocking everything else. This is the Metallica Blacklist, and it's a project that Metallica is doing with 53 artists that are covering songs from the Black Album, which is of course celebrating that's, I think, 30th anniversary this year as well. So I don't know if anybody really needs 53 covers of songs from the Black Album, but it's for charity, so we'll give them that. And they really went out of their way to cover the gamut for, different artists. You have everybody from current jazz superstar Kasami Washington to Phoebe Bridgers to Pharrell from with the Daptones, but Pharrell is a pretty major pop star. You have Pup, which is kind of like this punk band. Jason Isbell, Weezer, Idols, St. Vincent, and Dave Gahan from Depeche Mode does probably my favorite version on there. He does Nothing Else Matters, which most people cover that song. It seemed like that was the one that was covered the most. Phoebe Bridgers also covered that one, I believe. But I really like the Dave Gahan version. I like the Kasami Washington song. Probably the most absurd thing on there is Roxette is on here, but it does not have Marie Fredriksson because she passed away. So it's Roxette with Per Gessle and somebody else. So that's kind of weird that they would choose that to include that. And then a lot of people are saying, and you might get mad at me, but a lot of people are saying the Miley Cyrus version is the best on the album. It's her and Elton John and I think Chad Smith from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, some other people, and I think it's pretty good. So that's out. It's like 7 records, 4 CDs, and again it goes to charity. Brandi Carlisle, In These Silent Days. Brandi Carlisle is going on about 15 years of making music now. This is her 7th record. Her and Jason Isbell are the shot callers of the Americana world. They're the biggest artists, and when they kind of call an audible in the industry, the rest of the industry kind of follows them now. She's been, just getting bigger and bigger with every album, and by the time that her album in 2018 came out, she was already pretty big, but that record ended up getting the most Grammys for a female artist that year, nominations, not wins. She also formed the High Women that year, and that was a huge success. And she produced Tanya Tucker's comeback album, which was a huge album for Tanya, and there's no way that album would have been as good without Brandi's involvement. So for her to put out a new record, it's a big deal. Her last record had like huge songs on it, huge production. She just put out a book, so this record is kind of following her memoir, so there's a lot of heartfelt songs, a lot of more personal songs, bearing your soul type songs. It's produced again by Dave Cobb, who produced the last record, and Shooter Jennings is involved as well. So there's some songs on here. The standouts are a couple. I gotta look because I just got to hear it for the first time this afternoon. But there's a song called Broken Horses, which sounds like this Leonard Skinner, rocker, and really stands out from the rest of the album. And then there's another song later on, Sinners and Saints, that has a psychedelic breakdown at the end. But for the most part, it's pretty standard. Brandi Carlisle, a lot of piano, she's a pianist, guitar, some ballads, some mid-tempos, but it sounds like a really solid album, and I can't wait to listen to it again. So this, I had to look up the YouTube pronunciation, so let's see if I get it right. It's an anime soundtrack happening on Netflix. I think it's Yasuke, and so I know nothing about anime, but this is being done by Flying Lotus. Flying Lotus is a DJ, producer, electronic artist, rapper who's been around for probably about 15 years as well. He's put out some fantastic records. So when I saw that he was doing this soundtrack, I had to give it a listen. It is wonderful. It has guests on it like Denzel Curry, Thundercat, Nikki Rhonda. So she does some vocals on it as well. I think she's kind of up and coming in the hip hop world. It sounds very soundtracky because it's a soundtrack. It has a little 70s vibe to it. It has some hip hop, has some electronic music. It's really wonderful. So if you just wanted to like, it's kind of a niche thing, but if you just kind of wanted to wrap yourself up in some music for an hour, this is great, chill music to do that. There is some kind of the music from the Asian culture in it, but he doesn't overdo it. He doesn't cliche it. So it's very subtle and tastefully done. Highly recommend this. Sleep at the Wheel. This is called Half a Hundred Years. This is this band. It's their 50th anniversary, and so this record's kind of a celebration of that. Sleep at the Wheel was based out of Virginia, or was from Virginia, and then based out of Austin. They've been around since 1970. It's based around the music of Ray Benson. It's kind of Western swing, roots country, and so the whole Asleep at the Wheel project has it started out with Ray Benson and a guy named Lucky Ocean founded it. Lucky left in the 80s, and so again, it's been Ray Benson. He's had 100 people come and go from the band, so 100-person turnover over those years. So this record actually brings back Lucky Ocean, brings back some of the other members over the years, and they do a celebration of all of that music. George Strait is on here, Willie Nelson's on here, Lyle Lovett's on here. Their only real big hit was this song called The Letter That Johnny Walker Read, and if you don't think you know that song, you do. Go listen to it. It's a classic. There's an updated version on here with Leanne Womack, and that's probably the standout cut on here, but I also like Take Me Back to Tulsa, which features George Strait and Willie Nelson, and it's a Bob Wills cover. Now, Sleep at the Wheel kind of had a revival in the 90s because they did 2 tributes to Bob Wills, which Bob Wills is kind of the king of the Western swing, or the co-founder of Western swing. And so they had a revival around then. So there's a lot of Bob Wills stuff on this record too. It's a long one. It's 4 sides. And it's, if you're into Western swing, if you're into country, this might be something to check out. This I'm super excited about. This is the Daptones live at the Apollo, or not the Daptones, it's Daptone Records live at the Apollo. So this is a 3-record set, and it's done at the Apollo Theater in 2014, which is this legendary theater in Harlem where James Brown performed and all the soul greats. So this is done as a soul review, and it features Sharon Jones and the Dap Kings, Charles Bradley, the Sugar Man 3, Naomi Shelton and the Gospel Queens. Has an MC that ties it all together, so he's up on stage talking about their newest single, their newest 45, and it really just flows. Now, it's definitely an investment, it's 3 records long, but it's really cool. What Daptone Records did was they brought modern artists that were doing old school soul, like Sharon Jones and Charles Bradley, both who have left us in the last couple of years, and brought that kind of back to the masses. And the Charles Bradley performances on here are absolutely stunning, and it really makes me wish I would have gotten to see him live. And I did get to see Sharon Jones, so that was pretty cool. And she actually had my show of the year that year when I saw her. All right, just a few other weird little things. Taylor Swift's coming out tomorrow with Taylor's version of Fearless. So lots of people are excited about this. It's now 27 tracks long. There's also a reissue of the 1997 album from Fu Manchu, The Action Is Go. So all you 90s stoner rock alternative kids, you can get excited for that. And then this does not come out tomorrow, but it comes out next week. And I just want you to do a little bit of homework. Pokey Lafarge, we're going to talk about this album next week, so check out some of his older stuff.